We want to update you now on the latest developments in the investigation of the mass shootings in Las Vegas. Police say they still don't know why the suspect, 64-year-old Stephen Paddock, opened fire on a concert crowd of 22,000 people. The death toll stayed at 59 overnight, the number of wounded 527. Police say Paddock was the only gunman who had no brushes with the law. We've learned he used a hammer to break 2 windows in his suite at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, where authorities found 23 guns, scopes, and tripods.
So we know that talking to your kids about events like this mass shooting in Vegas is not easy. And joining me live right now is Dr. Neil Martin. He's an Atlanta-based clinical psychologist. Dr. Martin, I tried to have this conversation with my 13-year-old, and I have to say it was different from when she was much younger and the Sandy Hook shooting happened in Connecticut. Sure. At that time, I decided to shield her from newspapers, TV, and everything because I didn't want her to feel vulnerable and scared at school. Right. But this shooting in Las Vegas, I tried to tell her a little bit about it, but it almost didn't sink in. Yeah. So how do we talk to our kids about these things? You know, keep them informed, but not leave them scared in the world.
Right. So, you know, one of the things I emphasize when talking about these issues is having age-appropriate conversations with kids. Yeah. So when children are much younger, like preschool age, they're obviously less aware of what's going on in the world, and parents have a lot more control over what their kids are exposed to. So the younger they are, probably the less you want to expose and the more you want to protect a little bit. But still feel free to answer questions if they come up. They may have heard from a friend at school or maybe a friend's parent, something like that. You should always be open to communicate and take questions. The older children become, the more aware they're going to be. And at that stage, you know, I really encourage parents to open the lines of communication themselves and kind of take the initiative. Very good likelihood that kids are going to see these things on the news, social media, or from friends. And it's good for parents to initiate that conversation, to let the kids know it's safe to talk to me, it's okay to ask questions, and we're going to do our best to keep you safe, and you always know you have that feeling with me.
I think overall people are feeling overwhelmed and anxious over just what's been happening in our country over the last few weeks. We've had 3 hurricanes, we've had violence in Charlottesville, now we have this mass shooting. Some people feel like the world is coming to an end. Yeah,
very much so. It can feel like everything's kind of falling apart around us, so to speak.
Yeah, so how do you, what advice would you give for people to not feel so anxious and not feel so depressed and keep it positive through all of this crisis, these hurricanes, the earthquakes? How do we stay straight and narrow and positive?
Right. Yeah, to kind of go on with the positive thing, I would say talking about keeping it real, with part of that being positive. I think it's important to acknowledge the difficulties that are going on and the negative emotions and difficult emotions that can come with that. It's very normal to feel sad, shocked, and angry about the things that are happening, and that's okay. I encourage people to share those feelings with those they trust and try to connect on that. One of the best parts of being a human being is our resilience and ability to connect with each other. And while these things are absolutely terrible, part of what's great about humanity is our response to that can be wonderful. Yeah. So using them as an opportunity to connect and share with your common man, and part of that is taking action. So part of getting over anxiety and fear is doing something about it. That may be
like donating blood, as we've seen?
Donating blood,
donating
money
supplies
to good
for the
causes,
hurricane victims.
Supplies. You know, writing to your legislator and lawmakers about issues that are important that surround these events.
Would you even give a prescription for go out and go to the movies, maybe have dinner with friends, do something to take your mind off of everything? Yeah,
that can be a very healthy distraction. You know, I would guard against overexposing yourself to traumatic media. It's very good to be informed, and the news does a very good job of that. Yeah. But we can risk exposing ourselves to a news cycle that puts it in our face too often.
You need to go out and take a breath of fresh air. Don't sit in front of the TV all day long and watch the news. All right. Dr. Neil Martin, thank you so much for joining us this morning.